Hello and welcome to another podcast from RunMarketing, the free online do-it-yourself marketing, PR and new media guide for small businesses and startups. My name's Chris Lee, and in this episode I talk to Uday Radia, a director at UK tech PR agency Cloud9 PR, about the important field of what's known by many as newsjacking. In other words, responding quickly to breaking news by offering a company spokesperson to a news outlet for comment. It's a fantastic way to get quick and impactful coverage, as well as building long-term relationships with key reporters.
So I'm with Uday Radia, who's a director at Cloud9 PR. Hello, Uday.
Hi.
Just briefly, what does Cloud9 PR do?
We're a PR company for technology companies. So most of our clients are in IT, hardware and software and telecoms.
Okay, so you use newsjacking as a regular tactic for PR. What is newsjacking exactly to the uninitiated?
Okay, newsjacking is trying to get media coverage on the back of what's currently already in the news. It works best if your company's got an expert or some expertise on a particular subject. So the basic premise is that you've got to monitor the news agenda to try and find opportunities to get your company quoted. So if you think about it, recently there's been a lot of coverage about Tiger Woods and his infidelities. And
Yes.
I've heard a couple of radio interviews with sponsorship people and PR people about what he should do in terms of his PR and his marketing. So in those kinds of opportunities, you can actually get very high profile national broadcast media coverage and sometimes in the national press as well with this kind of tactic.
So why does this work? I mean, how can a small business take advantage of that?
Well, journalists are always looking for experts who can add value to an insight to their stories that they're covering.
Right.
It tends to be analyst or academic or sometimes even a journalist that they bring in to bring a story to life. With things like 24-hour news services these days, there's lots of opportunities for this kind of PR, because those stations are always looking to bring stories to life and cover them in different ways. So if you've got an expert that can provide some insight and add value, it really can take you quite far.
Have you got any examples where it's worked for you at Cloud9?
Yeah, as I said, I tend to work for technology companies. So I've got one client. So what they do is they provide software to monitor IT glitches. Companies know when there's any problems or faults. So I tend to get them a lot of coverage whenever there's a high-profile website going down or a big application going down, big IT system that the government owns. They were on Radio 4 when the stock exchange had a failure a little while ago, and that was at the 6 o'clock news in the evening when people are driving home, and that's quite a good bit of coverage.
No, of course. So I imagine it takes you have to keep your eye on the ball of what's emerging on the news agenda, and at the same time you have to turn it around pretty quickly, don't you?
Yeah, I think timing is critical. As you say, you need to have your finger on the button in terms of what's happening in the news. I tend to keep track of the various news sites, regularly dipping in to see what's happening, what's changing. Sometimes you can pick things up if you've got Google alerts set to whatever the issues are that you want to monitor.
Yeah.
But in terms of the mechanics of what you do, it's looking out for those sorts of stories, trying to quickly grab whoever your spokesperson is to talk through what sort of comment they can provide, and then to create an email and then get on the phones to contact whoever the journalists are. I think a good thing with all this kind of activity is to be prepared, so that you know who the spokespeople are, what sort of things they tend to want to talk about, have a good media list of the kind of targets that you want to be reaching at hand, so you don't have to go chasing around trying to find the right people. Then basically it's about getting in there quickly, because when these sorts of things happen, there's countless other PRs and companies trying to do the same thing. So
Sure.
If you can do this quickly and have your spokespeople available at short notice, then you stand a good chance of getting some good coverage out of it. And if whoever you get to do the interviews is good, then I tend to find that journalists will remember and they'll come back to you, and the whole process gets a bit easier.
So does it help to have some pre-written content ready to fire out on any given subject, or is that something that's kind of shunned?
Well, it does help, and I tend to have some basic background about my clients that I can whiz off with some basic ideas of the sorts of issues they can talk about, and also some credible stuff about what they do. You don't want to be doing that at the same time as working out what they want to say. So yeah, I think a certain amount of preparation is definitely helpful, and the more you do it, the easier it gets.
So best practice is monitor what's happening, get in quickly.
Well, I think best practice is timing. Timing is critical,
Right.
and be prepared. So don't go the basic things that you need, like media lists and background information about your spokespeople and where your spokespeople are and what their availability is. If you kind of have a handle of all that kind of stuff, then it saves you minutes that might help you to get coverage.
No,
Because
exactly.
quite often it's within 20 minutes, of putting a call out or sending an email, you can get your spokespeople on the radio or on the TV.
And this is where a lot of the people you hear interviewed on the radio will have come from, this sort of last minute newsjacking, as you call it.
Exactly, because